and welcome to Crafting Changes, Flip and Sew Lapghan. This is the video 1 of 3, the supply sheet and prep information. We are making 36-inch by 48-inch lapghans to be used by our partner charities in their hospice programs. They are not designed to be a bed covering or take the place of one, but are meant to be additional coverings to snuggle with or throw on extra on the bed or cover someone's lap if sitting in a chair or a wheelchair. The idea of a flip and sew lapghan combines the worlds of quilts with simplicity. For those of us who are quilt challenged, you'll find this method of assembly easy and fun, and they turn out looking great too. Best of all, the lapghan is quilted as you go. For supplies, you'll need quilting pins, 1 3/4 inches long, safety pins about 2 inches long, 90/14 machine needles, either a sharp or universal, a stiletto or purple thing to help move the fabric under the needle, sewing gauge, fabric marker, pin holder, and scissors. A rotary cutter, cutting mat, and ruler guide will make cutting the strips easier, but they are not essential. And don't forget your sewing machine and iron. For sewing the strips onto the lapghan, you'll need a quilting foot or presser foot with 1/4 inch markings. If you don't have one, you can use removable painter's tape and place it 1/4 inch away from the needle as a guide so you can maintain a consistent 1/4 inch seam allowance. For the batting, you can use quilt batting or polyester batting or Pellon number 988 sew-in fleece. Try not to use too lofty of a batting as it makes it harder to successfully flip and sew the strips down. You don't have to pre-wash this. And please have this cut to 40 inches wide by 52 inches long. The materials that you'll need for this project are 12 strips of coordinating quilting cotton fabrics, each cut 4.5 inches wide by the width of the fabric, 1.5 yards of pre-washed snuggly flannel for the backing, 1.5 yards of quilt batting, and 1/2 yard of quilting cotton for the binding. There are thousands of fabric combinations you can put together for your lapghan. It can be bewildering to figure out what to choose. I like to start with one main print that has multicolors in it that speaks to me. I'm going to call this my anchor print. Using the anchor print, I can then pull in other prints and solids that go with it, but not necessarily be all matchy-matchy. Try not to pick all the same scale of prints. Use a mix of solid colors, medium-sized blender prints, and larger scale prints to give it interest and dimension. As you can see in my example, I have pulled out shades of pink, green, yellow, and blue. They all work back to my anchor print. For the backing, I prefer to use snuggly flannel, print, or solid. The flannel has a better grip and not be as slippery and tend to fall off the bed or lap as easily as regular quilting cotton. Please pre-wash your cotton flannel before cutting and using, and cut your backing to 40 inches wide by 52 inches long. For the binding fabric, you can pick out one of your prints to use or maybe a totally different one. You can also use scrap pieces of all your prints for a scrappy look. But if you choose the scrappy route, it might be more difficult when it comes to turning the corners when applying the binding, as there is more likelihood of a seam falling on a corner. We'll cut your binding fabric into 5 strips, each 2¼ inches wide across the width of the material, and save this until we're ready to apply. Now cut your fabric strips 4.5 inches wide by the width of the material, cutting crosswise across the width. If you want to trim them down to 40 inches long, you can, or you can just leave them as we will trim them down later at the end. Be careful to be exact as you can, as this makes it a lot easier when sewing the strips onto the lapghan. And you should have 12 strips when you're done. Please iron your strips and backing so there are no wrinkles. A word of caution: when pressing the strips, don't use a forceful back and forth motion with the iron, as this may stretch them out. Just a nice up and down will do. Now arrange the strips in a pleasing order by laying them out on your workspace. Play with them until you're satisfied with the order. Now take a picture of them so you can remember how they went. And stack your strips in the order that you will sew onto the lapghan. I like to roll mine up and secure them with a rubber band so they'll be ready to go when I'm ready to sew. Well, that's pretty much it for this part 1 video, the preparation. After this video, you should have your fabric picked out for your strips. You should have 12 strips cut out 4 1/2 inches wide each. Your batting cut 40 inches by 52 inches. Your backing pre-washed and cut 40 inches by 52 inches. The strips and the backing ironed. Your strips arranged in pleasing order and secured. Binding strips cut 2 1/4 inches wide by the width of the fabric. You'll need 5 of those. And your notions gathered and your sewing machine ready to go.